We concern what you care. We care what you haven't aware. Hi everyone, it's Tash and welcome to another recipe video. And today we are making a matcha black sesame tart. This recipe is another oldie but goodie from my blog tashcakes.com. I first made it in 2015, but we're revisiting it because I never made a video for that because I didn't have a YouTube channel back then. And we're also making a few tiny improvements. Mostly one tiny improvement, to be honest. The original pastry was just a straight shortcrust pastry with no egg in it. And it had a very nice crumbly texture, but I remember it was kind of hard to cut because it was so crumbly. So this time I've added a little bit of egg white just to bind that pastry together. And I also tweaked the technique a little bit just to make getting rid of the excess pastry a bit neater. This recipe is kind of like a frangipane tart recipe, but instead of ground almonds, we are using ground black sesame. This is my favourite thing ever. Just look at that absolutely long soliloquy at the beginning. Let's read it, shall we? Eating is a simple action to human beings, but choosing something to eat becomes the hardest subject for modern people. We not only sales products to customers, but also provides delicious food to people. Rich in flavours and delicate natural food expand the outstanding target of new generation for the world. Perfectly balanced of combining nutritious and delicious. We take it for granted that strictly select each raw material and control quality for every single time. We concern what you care. We care what you haven't aware. Take it, enjoy the best moment of lovely world. Be a chef, wait what? Be a chief at home, easily and freely. And no, just to show you again, I didn't make all of that up. What a wonderfully poetic and long tirade for a bag of ground seeds. My favourite two lines are definitely, we concern what you care, we concern what you haven't aware. Anyway, this is from Taiwan, and it is Green Max since 1981, so I assume that the company knows what they're doing. So let's go to the kitchen and see how it's done. To start, I have greased an 8-inch, well, this is more like an 8.5 inch, a standard size tart tin, and it has a removable base. So I've just greased it with a bit of vegetable oil. I have 300 grams of plain flour here. To that I'm going to add 2 tablespoonfuls of corn flour and 1 tablespoon of matcha, and also 3 tablespoonfuls of icing sugar. I'm also going to add a pinch of salt too. Now here I have 180 grams of cold unsalted butter, which I have cubed, and I'm just going to rub this straight into our flour mixture. Now that this is well combined, it's kind of like sticky breadcrumbs. If you squeeze it, it does come together, but it is still kind of crumbly. So to make it stick all together, we're going to add half an egg white. And the rest of the egg will be my lunch. And that's our pastry dough done. Now let's roll it out. And just to make life easier, I like to roll it out between 2 sheets of baking paper. Plop it on there, and let's pat the other one over. And now we're going to roll it out until it's about 1 centimetre thick. Just doing a quick size check, and yeah, that kind of checks out. Let's peel back this layer and keep this because we're going to use this in a minute. And here's why I like this method, because it makes this next part relatively easier. I'm just going to flip this onto there. And keep this paper too. Now we're going to gently ease that pastry into our case. Don't worry about cracks, we can flatten them out. And once you've kind of got it to how you like, we're simply going to roll our rolling pin over to get rid of the scraps. Give it a bit of a reshape, you can always do it again. Let's give it one more roll. Now this might be my favourite part about making a tart. I'm going to prick the bottom of our pastry case. This is going to help it bake so it doesn't puff up at the bottom. But we also have an extra bit of insurance for this step. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to chill this whole thing in the fridge for 15 minutes. Now don't get rid of this, I'm actually going to make some little shortbread biscuits out of it. It can be as rough as you like. Let's gather them up. Hang on, let me set this aside while I clean up this mess. And what I did is I popped this dough ball onto one of those bits of baking paper that we reserved, which I've just folded up. And I'm just going to flatten it out-ish to form a thick disc. And now, as if I were making shortbread, I'm going to score it. I'm going to score it into, let's see, I'm going to score it into 6 equal-ish portions. I'm really bad at dividing things equally, so do not mind me with my bad division. Yep, that's totally off, never mind. And I'm going to poke in some holes in the top, not going all the way through this time. And we're going to pop this in the fridge too, and we will bake it just after we bake our pastry case. While we wait for our doughs to chill, we're going to preheat our oven to 180 degrees C. Once the oven is preheated and your dough is chilled, it's time to get baking, but we're not quite done yet. We're going to take our other piece of paper that we saved, put it straight over the top, and we're going to pour in some ceramic baking beans. Dry rice or dry beans will do too. And this is going to weigh down the pastry, making doubly sure that it won't puff up. And now we're going to bake this for 20 minutes. And keep your oven on when you're done too. I'm also going to pop these in for, let's say, 10 to 12 minutes. This one won't take as long. Meanwhile, I'm going to deal with these beans. Be careful because this is very hot. I'm going to gather up the paper and then put these in a heat-proof bowl, and then I'm going to let the beans cool down before putting them back in the container because handily they are reusable. And as you can see, we have a lovely green matcha tart, and we're going to let this cool down completely. And 12 minutes later the shortbread's done too, so I'll let these both cool down. Now that our pie crust is totally cool, we're going to spread on the bottom 3 tablespoonfuls of strawberry jam. Now let's set this aside. To make our filling, we're going to need 125 grams of unsalted butter, and this is softened at room temperature, and I'm going to add 125 grams of caster sugar. And now we're going to cream these together until light and fluffy. Now we're going to beat in 3 eggs. And finally, we're going to add in 150 grams of black sesame powder. And that is your quote-unquote black sesame frangipane done. Now we're going to take back our tart case with the jam at the bottom, and we're simply going to dollop our filling on top. And we're going to smooth it out, of course. And careful not to disturb the jam at the bottom too much. And now we're going to bake this at the same oven temperature of 180 degrees C for 25 to 30 minutes. And it's just starting to go golden brown on top. So now before we continue, we're going to let this cool down completely. And yes, you can switch your oven off now. To finish our tart, we have 300 milliliters of double cream, and we're going to add a tablespoonful of caster sugar to it. Now let's whip it up until it forms soft peaks. And now you can just spoon this as it is onto your tart, or, like me, you can pop it in a piping bag, which I've placed in my handy cups. It's going to make it easier for me to scoop that into the piping bag. And I have a curved star tip, which is great for making roses, so I'm going to do that now. Let's bring back our tart, which I've handily unmoulded from its tin, and we're going to pipe some swirls. And finally I'm going to dust some matcha powder over the top. And finally, almost forgot this part, I'm going to dot some strawberries around. Let's cut out a piece now, shall we? Let's go for this way. Is this awkward? Oh, cuts through like butter. Now the moment of truth. Slide that under there. Ease it out. Oh, sensational. Wow, look at those layers. And that black sesame layer looks so creamy and fudgy. That's going to go so well against the light cream. The denseness, the lightness, the sweetness and the nuttiness. Oh, this is going to be good. And of course we've got a little bit of bitterness from the matcha powder. Absolutely loving the swirl pattern here. And of course not forgetting our leftover matcha shortbreads. This is such a tasty dessert and quite an unusual one too. It's not one you'll find in the shop, so definitely give it a go and it will definitely impress some people. Wow, what a delightful sesame smell. Well, I've been very good this time and I didn't take a bite instantly when I took the slow-mo shot, so oops. So I think I deserve going straight into it. Cheers! It's lovely. So there you go, matcha black sesame tart. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed today's recipe video and I hope you will join me next Wednesday for my next one. Get the full written recipe on my blog tashcakes.com, follow me on Instagram on tashcakes.tastes, and find me on Instagram too. I'm tashcakes there too, but my handle is food in slow motion. Subscribe and hit that notification bell if you'd like to see more. Give this video a like if you liked it to help other people find it. Comment down below if you'd like me to make anything in particular, and I'll see you guys next time. Be good, be nice, and have a good week. I feel like my hair's getting more and more out of control as this video goes on.